Vicar quickly leaves the gossiping crowd with Pomerian on his back. He walks toward a quiet area of the academy near the huge ice-covered coliseum. He lets out a sigh, relieved to finally be away from everyone. But the relief doesn't last long. Pomerian happily squeals from his back, saying how fun it was to run so fast, and eagerly asks him to do it again. Vicar gently puts her down. He then speaks seriously, explaining that if she jokes in public by calling him daddy, it puts him in a difficult position. His serious voice makes Pomerian's eyes fill with tears. She quietly asks if he's mad and quickly apologizes, promising not to do it again. Vicar softens right away. He tells her he isn't mad, just dealing with some things, and pats her head. She smiles again. He crouches down and asks why she's alone. He reminds her she's supposed to be with Osiris and asks where he is. Pomerian says her big uncle went to get their bracelets. While waiting, she played hide-and-seek with the guards, but she got impatient to see Vicar and sneaked in by herself. Vicar imagines how she probably got her way, throwing a tantrum and putting Hugo in a tough spot until he agreed to let her come. He realizes how serious it would have been if Hugo had to report her missing. Meanwhile, Pomerian looks up at him, completely unaware of the trouble she caused. Vicar decides to fix things. He tells her they'll find her big uncle. Taking her hand, they walk off together. As they walk hand in hand, Vicar suddenly stops. Pomerian looks up, confused, and asks what's wrong. Vicar's eyes widen and cold sweat breaks out on his face. He can't believe someone managed to approach him without him noticing. Behind them stands an old woman in a white hooded robe. She leans on a walking stick and holds a small bucket. Quietly, she says she is thirsty. Still shocked by how silently she appeared, Vicar turns to face her. When she repeats her request, he looks at her wrinkled face and glasses and suddenly realizes who she is. She is the Pope of the Lune Church, and the head of the powerful Quo Vadis family. Over 200 years old, she lived before the empire was unified, making her one of the last traditional Santuses. She is a living legend. Navikov Lune Quo Vadis I. Vicar is stunned, his mind racing. Why would someone like her be at the academy? This shouldn't be possible. In his original timeline, she should already be dead. He only knew her from history books, which said she was poisoned by someone close to her. Her own power made her vulnerable. Seeing her alive, Vicar realizes with a chill that history has changed. He wonders if his actions since returning to the past caused her to survive. As he processes this, he feels a small spark of hope. Her power could greatly help humanity's future. That hope vanishes when the Pope suddenly swings her bucket and hits him square in the head. Her elderly face twists with silent anger as she yells at him to give her water. Annoyed and disappointed, Vicar remembers Dolores telling him the Pope suffers from dementia. He sees now that Dolores was right. In her current state, she won't be any help at all. Still, one thought bothers him. The powerful feeling he sensed when she first appeared doesn't match her strange behavior now. The noise draws attention. Pomerian angrily defends her uncle. Dolores, who has been searching for the Pope, runs over in panic. She arrives exhausted and out of breath, relieved to finally find them. After catching her breath, Dolores asks the Pope where her attendant, Sir Peter, is and why she's wandering around alone. The Pope ignores her and keeps demanding water. A confused Dolores can only ask if she's thirsty. Vicar points to a nearby well and tells the Pope she can drink from there. But the Pope stubbornly holds out her broken bucket, insisting they use it to get her water. The three of them stare at the bucket in silence. Looking through the large hole in the bottom, Pomerian says the obvious. The water will leak out. The Pope studies the broken bucket for a moment and makes a thoughtful H. Then, in a strange move, she throws the bucket into the well, leaving everyone confused. As it sinks, she says with odd satisfaction that now it won't leak. Her attitude suddenly changes, shifting from noisy and angry to calm and wise. She turns to Vicar and Dolores and says that everything is best in its natural state. With her eyes closed, she gives strange advice. If a floor has holes or cracks, she says you should just leave it alone. She explains you can cover holes by surrounding them with something bigger, like how well water surrounds a broken bucket, and gently touches Dolores's cheek. The Pope tells Dolores not to forcefully fill empty spaces. She tells the young saintess to let things happen naturally. This deeply touches Dolores. Vicar, however, is not impressed by the speech. He cuts in bluntly and points out the problem. They still can't drink any water. The Pope looks at him with interest. A small spider crawls out from Vicar's collar. He tells the baby madam to act. At his command, she shoots a thick web from her mouth and completely seals the hole in the bucket. With the bucket fixed, Vicar lowers it into the well and easily fills it with water. He then holds the full bucket out to the Pope, directly challenging her idea. She is thirsty, there is water, and the bucket had a hole. He asks if she shouldn't do everything she can to get the water she needs. His practical solution amazes the others. Pomerian's eyes shine as she asks if he used magic, while a shocked Dolores can only stutter his name. The Pope says nothing. Her calm expression disappears, replaced by a sharp stare. Her eyes glow with holy light as she looks at Vicar. Before things can get more tense, a man in priest robes runs toward them, shouting for the Pope. It is Sir Peter, her attendant. Out of breath but relieved, he says he was worried when she disappeared and thanks Dolores for staying with her. With Sir Peter there, the Pope's test seems finished. Her voice becomes clear and wise as she admits that Vicar's way works too. She smiles knowingly and describes his way of life, never giving up and always finding a solution no matter the problem. She says this is the life he is meant to live. Vicar listens quietly, his face hard to read. After saying this, the Pope turns to leave and tells Sir Peter to come along. He quickly follows. After taking a few steps, she stops and turns back to Vicar. She thanks him simply but sincerely. With a peaceful smile, she says that because of him she can now leave in peace. Then she walks away with Sir Peter, leaving behind a sense of mystery. Vicar, Dolores and Pomerian remain in the courtyard with the repaired bucket. They stand quietly, trying to understand what just happened. After they start walking, Dolores nervously tells Vicar not to take the Pope's words too seriously, saying she hasn't been herself lately. Holding the bucket, Vicar replies that it's fine since the effort made him thirsty. Dolores then becomes serious. Hesitating, she admits she heard what the little girl said earlier. Gathering her courage, she asks Vicar if he is Pomerian's daddy. The sudden question makes Vicar choke on his water and spit it out. Dolores and Pomerian rush over as he coughs and quickly explains. He says Pomerian is not his daughter, just the younger sister of someone he knows, and that it was only a joke. Dolores laughs awkwardly and says she was just making sure. Inside, though, she feels huge relief. That relief earns her an annoyed look from Pomerian, who puffs out her cheeks. Dolores is left confused about why the child is upset. Still coughing, Vicar asks Dolores if that question is why she was looking for him. She says no, but admits she does have a favor to ask. Before she can explain, an announcement rings out, declaring the second-year winner and saying the third-year final match is about to begin. All participants are called to the arena. Dolores panics, realizing her match is next. She apologizes and says they will talk later. Vicar calmly replies that he is heading that way too, so they go together. At the entrance of Colosio Academy, two new people appear. Two young women arrive, one with blue and pink hair, the other with red. The girl with multicolored hair looks around with determination and asks, "Where is he?" Inside Colosio Stadium, protected by a hexagonal magic barrier that rises into the sky, the final match for the third-year Ice Corps is held. In the arena, both Dolores and her opponent, a student named Galgat, are completely worn out, gasping for breath after a brutal fight. Galgat looks shocked and confused. Shaking, he gathers the last of his strength and declares that he, a fourth circle mage recognized by all the professors, could never lose to Dolores and her divine magic. But before he can finish speaking, his strength gives out. He collapses and passes out on the ground. Dolores stares in surprise as he falls. When the fierce battle ends, she tightens her fist with resolve. She has been declared the winner of the third-year Ice Corps. The crowd explodes with cheers shouting her name. Soon after, the loudspeakers announce that the final event, the closing ceremony, will begin shortly, and ask everyone to take their seats. Vice Principal Vinci Morgue steps up to the podium and introduces himself as the host of the ceremony. Standing before the entire student body, he begins by saying he speaks to them with love and respect. The students are doubtful. They whisper among themselves. One questions his honesty, another mocks the idea of him showing love, and a third expects a boring lecture. Most of them believe he dislikes students. Vinci surprises them by openly admitting that he knows they don't like him and find him annoying. He explains that his strict behavior was on purpose. He wanted to prepare them for the harsh world they will face after leaving the safety of the academy. His goal, he says, was to give them the strength and wisdom to overcome any hardship. But he explains that his thinking changed after meeting a certain student. That encounter made him realize many things. His mind returns to several memories. Vicar standing up for students who couldn't afford their fees in front of Professor Satti. Vinci's own fear and anger when Vicar was trapped during the exam as he shouted for the gate to be opened. And finally his relief and gratitude as he helped Vicar carry the injured Professor Satti to safety. From these moments, Vinci says he learned an important lesson. Sometimes what a student truly needs can only come from another student. Coming back to the present, he offers his sincere thanks to that unnamed student. His voice grows gentle as he shares his hopes for everyone's future. He wishes that any strong wind pushing them back will turn into a wind that carries them forward. He hopes the sun will always shine warmly on them, and that rain will still bring rainbows. He hopes their sad days will help them grow even more than their happy ones. Listening from the crowd, Sinclair looks serious and thoughtful, clearly moved by his words. Most of all, Vinci hopes their lives will be filled with love, peace, hope, and success. He ends by telling them they did well this past year and thanks them. Then he bows deeply to all the students. After his unexpected and emotional speech, the stadium erupts in loud applause. Many students are overwhelmed. Piggy, Tudor, and Sancho are openly crying. Piggy says he can't believe Professor Vinci could speak so warmly. Tudor jokes that someone else must have written the speech. Sancho, trying to stay tough, mutters that warriors don't cry. Bianca, however, stays quiet and serious, giving her friends a look that tells them to calm down. Dolores is also moved. She softly says the professor must have a lot on his mind. The girl sitting beside her is crying hard and agrees, saying she is deeply touched. Then the girl turns to Dolores and asks if she is the student Vinci talked about, since Dolores interacted with him the most. Caught off guard, Dolores quietly says she doesn't think it was her. Nearby, Vicar hears this and thinks about it, a drop of sweat on his face as his red eye glints behind his glasses. Dolores also wonders who managed to change the stubborn professor's heart. As Vinci steps away from the podium, Headmaster Winston stops him, pats his shoulder and congratulates him on a great and touching speech. Vinci pulls back slightly, his face hard to read. Winston watches him leave with a thoughtful expression, then walks onto the stage himself. Reaching the microphone, Headmaster Winston begins his speech. He introduces himself and jokes that the vice principal's speech was so good that it will be hard to follow. He admits that he should have prepared a better speech instead of giving the usual advice to always do your best. His voice changes, becoming more serious and personal. He tells everyone that over the past few months, he left the academy to find peace after his health got worse because of a chronic illness called mana overload. Winston says that only after losing his health did he truly understand how valuable the present moment is. He speaks firmly, saying they never know when they will die. Not tomorrow, not in the next hour, not even in the next second. He tells everyone to give their best in every single moment because death is the one thing that treats everyone equally. Headmaster Winston ends his speech with an emotional request to the students who are about to start their vacation. He asks them not to forget that life and time are precious. He begs them to live without regrets, reminding them that they could die tomorrow or even in the next moment. His words suddenly stop in the most horrible way. A huge savage purple tentacle shaped like a whip shoots forward and stabs straight through his chest, spraying blood into the air. His eyes go wide in shock as his life begins to fade. The whole stadium falls into chaos. The students stare in silence, frozen with fear. Piggy, Tudor and Sancho cannot move, while Bianca, Dolores and the girl beside them only stand there with wide, terrified eyes. Even Vicar, who has seen many disasters coming, is completely stunned by the sudden attack. Winston coughs up a large amount of blood as the purple tentacle lifts him easily into the air. The attacker swings him around violently, and then slams him into the stone stage with massive force, breaking the ground and leaving a huge crater. He lies there broken and bleeding, still alive but in terrible pain. A deep scream of agony bursts from his throat. As he screams, a dark figure lands near his shattered body. The attack has only just begun. In the chaos, Headmaster Winston's decorated sword lies forgotten on the broken ground. A shadowy figure in high heels walks over and picks it up. The attacker is revealed to be Ms. Ouroboros, her eyes glowing with dangerous purple light behind a strange mask. Smiling proudly, she says she has finally claimed her prize. The key, the Winter Sword, Orwell. Her victory does not last long. Vinci Morgue shouts her name in rage, swearing she will go no farther. He and several other professors draw their swords and rush toward her, ready to fight. Vinci's face shows pure shock and fear. He stares at the fallen headmaster, unable to believe that a master swordsman like Winston could be defeated so quickly, even by surprise. His fear turns into confusion, then anger, when he notices a familiar green bracelet with a purple gem on Ouroboros' wrist. He realizes with sick certainty that she must have pretended to be a school official to get past security and enter the arena, and he curses himself for letting it happen. Gathering his courage, Vinci faces the assassin and shouts that even if her ambush worked, she will not leave the academy alive. A glowing blue magic circle appears in his hand. He declares that their school honors the highest level of martial arts. With power burning in his eyes and two determined professors beside him, he says that together they are almost an army, and she cannot defeat them all on her own. Ms. Ouroboros shows a frightening crooked smile and calmly asks Vinci if she ever said she was alone. Vinci freezes, sweat sliding down his face as he stares at her, confused by what she means. Suddenly, a massive force hits the arena's defenses. The blue hexagon-shaped magic barrier protecting the stadium shatters into countless pieces of light. Vinci looks up helplessly as the barrier is destroyed. The crowd begins to scream in panic. The assassin laughs wildly, covering her face with her hand. She says she truly loves the sound of their fear. Then she starts to change. Her hair shifts from white to bright purple as she removes her blindfold mask. Vinci stands completely still, shocked as he recognizes the woman in front of him. The assassin reveals who she really is. She is Professor Satti. She wears a crazed smile, sticks out her tongue and stares at him with a glowing purple eye. She casually calls him by name.